Hey guys, Adam Broussard here. Another video in the traffic. Not necessarily, but just making our way. Meditation, get right with God. So, you want to stay right with God. And sometimes I think when things are going completely wrong around me, that I must not be right with God. If you ever read the book of Job, it would say otherwise. We don't know God's plans. We don't know how. We don't really understand how he watches out, every hair on our head or lack thereof, even those little ones and all that stuff. But sometimes whenever you're just feeling exhausted, that maybe you're not right with God, or maybe some people tell you that, like, hey man, you're failing miserably at whatever, and it's because you're not right with God. And just be like Job's friends there. And I have to remind myself at times when I feel like, man, am I not doing everything that I'm supposed to? And the answer is, yeah, you probably are. Especially if you're conscientious on thinking about that, or that you're wanting to, or you're trying to. I think you probably are right in line with doing whatever God wants you to do, or his will for you. The issue is, it's not that you're not succeeding or moving forward, or whatever that looks like in whatever circumstance, or somebody's not healing, or a relationship is not strong, or the breakup isn't happening, or whatever. It doesn't mean that, at the end of the day, it's doesn't mean that you're not doing God's will, or that you're not in line with him. He allows us to make decisions and go down into the pits of despair and suffering, to grow closer, to be closer to him. And man, does that, like, how else are you supposed to grow stronger in a relationship? I look at the marriage with my wife and realize that our bond becomes stronger with the adversity that we have. We grew stronger when our second child was born prematurely, and she was in the hospital, and my wife was suffering through that. We were both suffering, but my wife, having just had the baby, was, I would say, definitely more so suffering than I was, physically and mentally, along with all the emotions that go along with having a baby. And then when the baby got out, 2 weeks later, our daughter, well, first of all, unbeknownst to us, she came prematurely because she had her umbilical cord wrapped around her neck twice. So it took a minute to digest that while we were in the hospital, that, man, God seemingly seemed like a freaking tough situation, which it was. It was the best thing that could have happened, because we could have lost our baby girl at that point. Stayed in the NICU. Fast forward, get out. Then she catches RSV, which is terrible for a premature baby that hasn't, weighing 5 pounds or 6 pounds or something, whatever at the time. It's deadly at that age and at that juncture in her life. So we go back to the hospital for another couple of weeks while she battles this RSV. Now, me and my wife did not know this at the time, or what we know now. But man, we are so lucky. We could have lost her a few different times on that, man. And so, was God's will for us to suffer? Man, it was painful. But where my wife and I grew in our relationship was a stronger bond, because we leaned on each other. We needed each other. You know, I mean, we leaned on our family, but at the end of the day, we needed each other. And at that point in time, we were living with my in-laws, and my mother-in-law had told me she had just lost her job where she was working at, and she was kind of in just a mental rut of losing a job that she really liked and she cared about, and it was over just kind of just budget cuts type deal. But she helped us out tremendously with watching our 1-year-old at the time. And so, or no, 1.5-year-old. Close enough, still one. And like hindsight 2020, going through that period of time, she helped us out tremendously, and us living at that house kind of not unexpectedly, it was planned, it was in a transitional phase. But like us living there, premature, her not having a job, able to watch our daughter, having to go through this hospital visit more than once was just like a lot of negatives for this awesome positive. And so, was I not right with God for all these things? He doesn't reward us for being right with him. Things just will naturally happen. But I mean, I thank God that it all worked out well. We just literally celebrated my daughter's 8th birthday, you know, and boy, it is a big reminder for me and my wife 8 years ago how very tough mentally we were going through those circumstances. And so trusting in God is the answer. And you know, I was having some anguish over closing down one of our houses for the sober living houses because it was underperforming, and right now they're all just very weak. But this was the weakest one out there in the cut, out there in more country than the other ones, and so we told a few guys that were living there. They all work for one guy or one employer, one company. And you know, this morning I wake up to a phone call saying, "Hey, the guy that owns the company says I'm gonna rent that house and I'm just gonna keep these guys here." Awesome. So now he gets to take over and he gets to manage them, put those guys in a good situation, and I think it was a win-win at the end of the day. And so there was kind of a little bit of a, you know, bittersweet of like, you know, I think I know what the plan is. I've got all these check marks. I did all these things, and I don't know what the plan is. So just when you think you know, you don't know, and just when you think you got all the check marks done, then he comes hit you in the face. It's just life, and we just got to roll with it. God bless.